I'm reluctant to say this, but it's the truth, so I will. The last 2 years, they would not buy any corn grown in Texas. And the reason was a mycotoxin called aflatoxin is in corn or other crops that are grown in stress. Well, the stress in a plant can come from all kinds of sources. It can come from the drought. It can come from too much water. It can come from the fact that the soil has been depleted of organic matter and trace minerals, which unfortunately is what happens when you're not in an organic program. And we had a combination in Texas. We had the drought, and we had the fact that everybody, or a lot of the farmers, had depleted their soil so badly. That aflatoxin is one of the most toxic things on earth. It's what killed a bunch of dogs down in Waco. You probably heard the story a few years ago. Dog food had aflatoxin in it and it killed a bunch of dogs. The companies that sell cornmeal that are trustworthy, and there's a bunch of them in Texas, great companies, they are testing for aflatoxin on a daily basis. And if you're buying corn real cheap, you know, it might work, but you might have to be worried about that aflatoxin. Yes, ma'am, did you have a question?
I had two quick questions. One is that I had built my mother a garden because she's now in her late 70s, and so I built them 4 cement blocks high so she could just lean in and garden, and we brought in all the good dirt, and so she doesn't have to bend over. She
right.
leans over, walks down, and comes back.
Great.
Her concern is about heirloom seeds and whether shipping them through the post office now with all the x-ray, is that a real concern? My second question is, I want to know how you can make those cement blocks lighter weight.
Well, I can't help you with haydite blocks. They're about as light as you can get, but that is a good wall. It's a very good wall, and if you put the haydite blocks so that the holes are pointed up, you can put lava sand, which is available all over the place out there now, in the holes, and that'll hold them in place better so they won't move around. And the lava sand is actually hydroscopic. It keeps the moisture in your wall, so you end up with a wall that's actually very helpful for your growing. On the seed in the post office, I'm concerned about that too. They're going to start irradiating things and doing all kinds of things, and you can understand why we got a little problem going on there. There could be some harm to seed. We'll find out real fast. Of course, the worst thing would be to sterilize the seed, and it wouldn't even germinate. But the other thing would be that it would ruin it, it would hurt it from a genetic standpoint. And I think that we're just now starting to look at that and get some information back, and I'm not sure. That could be a potential problem. Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to go home and stick my son's feet in cornmeal tonight. I want to know what I'm supposed to do.
How to do it? The formula, the original formula is on my website, DirtDoctor.com, but basically it's this. He and his wife took a pan big enough to put your feet in, put an inch of cornmeal in the bottom of it, and put water in it and let it sit for an hour or two. That probably is a beneficial part of the process because there's probably some biological activity that starts while it's just sitting there. Then added warm water to that just for comfort. Stick the feet in, watch TV for a couple of hours, and that's it. I've had people tell me that it cured their problem with one time. I've had other people say that they had to do it 5 or 6 times, but it got better with every application. I've had people tell me that it didn't necessarily make them solve the skin problem they had, but it made their skin softer than it had ever been and made their fingernails a little tougher too. Yes, ma'am.
Is there an organic way of getting rid of fire ants?
Yes, fire ants can only be controlled with an organic program. The thing that you have to understand is this. We created the fire ant problem. It's man-made. It's not a natural situation. The way we created it is that when the ants came to the United States, Alabama, I think, 50-something years ago is where it all got started, instead of just letting it go and letting these imported ants go out and mingle with our native fire ants and other organisms, which would have neutralized them, we were smarter than that. We thought that we would throw diazinon and Dursban and orthene, and the worst thing of all was some genius at I think the USDA probably, decided that we were going to dump Mirex from airplanes on them. Well, when that happened, The ant, like all organisms, said, we're going to have to change how we do business. And what they did was they changed from being one queen per mound, and the mounds being territorial, to having 40, 50,000 mounds per acre and as many as 3,000 queens per mound. And each queen can produce 2,000 ants a day. I mean, you can do the math. We created the fire ant problem, and these people that say that you can only control them with the pesticides, you need to throw that at them. You need to throw this at them too. If the pesticides work so well, why do we still have such a problem with fire ants? Here's the way you do control them. Number one, any orange oil product, and orange oil or D-limonene has become a major tool in our arsenal of organic pest control products. You use any orange oil product, you can mix it with some compost tea or any kind of organic matter and pour it into a mound and it'll kill fire ants. But what works even better than that is to either buy the commercial product or mix it with the formula that we give you. It's on the website and everything. It's molasses, compost tea, and orange oil in equal amounts, 6 ounces or so in a gallon of water, and pour it right in the center of the mound. It kills every single ant that it touches. Step 2, put out beneficial nematodes. You think, okay, that's a microscopic organism. It's an unsegmented worm. You can buy it at every store out there that sells organic products. I have in the back of all my books, I have 800 numbers to insectaries. You can buy them a mail order. You put these beneficial nematodes in water. I put them in a big old watering can and splash them out, or you can spray them with a hose-end sprayer. They not only kill fire ants, they kill fleas, they kill ticks, they kill termites, they kill grub worms, and they kill other insect pests that have one of their life cycles in the soil. They work beautifully. The third step is to go totally organic. Fire ants do not like the competition. They don't like other ants, they don't like other insects, they don't like microorganisms in healthy soil, and they don't even like multi-species property. We're finding that to be the case all over. Where we're seeing fire ants the worst is in a coastal Bermuda field. It's a big monoculture. We're not seeing them where they're growing a lot of native species of plants and having good biodiversity. You can only control pests with common sense and a natural approach. Toxic chemistry is never, ever the answer. Yes, sir.
I like to raise quality roses. And I've heard on your program, buy the natural roses, don't buy the hybrid teas that are real pretty, because apparently there's not any organic way to handle that. Is there?
Yes, sir. I probably need to talk about that in a little different way, because I'm probably running off some of you really great rosarians by telling everybody to do the old roses and the Austin roses, which are great. But you can grow the hybrid teas and the floribundas and all the things that you're growing with the organic program. In the little handout here is my overall rose program, and it works as well or better than whatever you're currently doing with chemicals. It's just that when you use the others, they're just easier. And a lot of people listening to me are looking for the lead pipe cinch way to go. But you can grow anything that we grow, no matter whether it's fruit trees or roses or what the crop is, whether it's food crops. We have, people say it can't be done on a large scale. That's one of the things I get thrown at me a lot, that we have to feed the world. Well, there's a totally organic, certified organic farm operation in California. That is one place where they're ahead of us here, is in the farming. But this one farm is 10,000 acres. So it can be done on a large scale, or it can be done in your little herb garden at home. My critics also like to throw out the fact that Garrett only talks about this because he's a hippie and it works fine at home, where he's sitting on top of his compost pile smoking marijuana under a pyramid. And that always really irritates me. I'm a military hawk. I'm a retired Marine, a reservist, and I don't like that kind of talk at all. It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the fact that it simply works better. Thank you for having me today.